doing photo manipulation in Photoshop. I'm going to be going over some basic tools that you can see on the sidebar here, as well as things with lighting and color correction. With this one, I'm doing a graduation announcement card for Brian Bailey. And him being a film buff, the idea was to put his face on Cary Grant's body. So we took some photographs. This is him. And I purposely had him wear a tank top so I didn't have clothing getting in the way of his neck. And we'll see if it'll work on this body and with the collar. So some basic Photoshop things. You have layers over here. The arrow tool moves it around. Obviously it's too big, so I'm gonna show transform controls up here. When you want to resize something, hold down shift so it keeps the proportions right. You put the arrow on the corner, and then this thing pops up. You see it's different. That rotates it, that resizes it, and that just moves it. See how the arrow changes? What I'm going to do is I'm going to make this about the same size as him, as Cary Grant's face. I use keyboard shortcuts a lot, like Command plus is zoom in, and spacebar and clicking, moves it around. It gives you that hand. So first step, what I'm going to do is over here on the opacity, I'm going to take that down to around 50, so that way I can see it over and get an idea of what's going on about size. Say that is now the right size we want it. Then we can bring this back up. Well, let's leave it at about 3/4 right now. You can use the erase tool to get rid of all this, but I would say it's just better practice to get into the habit of using the layer mask. You click on that. Once you're selected, you have to be selected on the layer. Once you're selected there, click on layer mask, and then it has this little thing here. What this does is you go to your paintbrush, and right now I'm selected on white, which is not going to do anything because this is white. When I bring it over to black, it treats this as kind of like an eraser tool. So I'm painting black, but what it is telling it to do is get rid of everything that I am painting over. So, and the bracket bar makes it this bigger, by the way, so you don't have to keep clicking up here. I'm just going to get rid of all this junk. And the hardness, let me bring it up. Normally, you would get in there, get right close around the edge. I'm not going to worry about it right now because it would take too long. So already you have that. I mean, just in that little bit. And that was like a few minutes of work. But to make it look realistic, I would say the key is, if you're working in color, it would be color matching, color correction. So you can see the lighting on Cary Grant's face and Brian's face is very, very different. This is higher contrast, has that strong highlight and then shadow, and that's just not going on for Brian. Under image adjustments, you can control some of this. My favorite is levels. Levels controls this arrow controls the shadow over here, highlight, and then just the mid-range. If you bring it down here, it lightens it, darkens it a lot. This one can enhance some of the highlights here. We're going to boost both of them up. See, now we're getting a lot better contrast, although it is making the color weird now. That's just something you have to deal with. And I'm just going to go over this quick. Then you do something like, I like doing hue saturation to start off with. Right now it's really saturated. You can see his face is like really red. Bring that down a bit. Maybe a little bit darker. If you want him to be green, you can do that. Cary Grant's face is a bit orange. So you can do other things with color balance, and channel mixer. Color balance lets you move these around and control shadows, midtones, and highlights. And then it's really just experimenting, playing with it. Of course, he does look pretty tan, so maybe that's just the way it's going to be. Nothing against Brian. It's just, I mean, look at Cary Grant's face right there. Yes, that's some serious leather.
You just say serious leather.
Yeah.